I'm going to show you the distributive property in algebra, and that's a situation where you have a number or a term, could be a number or a variable, outside of a parentheses, and you've got something inside the parentheses. So what we do with the distributive property is we take this outside term and multiply it by the term or terms inside the parentheses. So in this case, positive 2 times a positive 3 is a positive 6. But here's where the action really starts. It's when you have a term outside and then you have more than one term or number or variable inside the parentheses. So in this case, we want to take the term outside and multiply it by each of the terms inside the parentheses. So in this case, what we have, using the distributive property, we have positive 2 times a positive 1 equals positive 2, and then positive 2 times a positive 3 is a positive 6. And let's look at one where there's a negative term outside. So in this case, we take a negative 2 times a positive 1. It's like this. That's going to be a negative 2. And then we take our negative 2 and multiply it by a positive 6, and we get a negative 6. Now we could simplify these even further, right? This would become 2 plus 6 is 8. And this would become, can you see what that's going to be? Minus 2, minus 6, minus 8. But that's not really the point of this demonstration. We want to really just concentrate on this distributive property. Okay, let's look at a little more complicated examples. How about a minus 3 times a minus 2 plus 6? So again, we're always taking that term that's outside the parentheses and we're multiplying it by each term on the inside. So in this case, we have minus 3 times a minus 2 is a positive 6. And then I'm going to multiply minus 3 or negative 3 times a positive 6. I'm going to get negative 18. Here's another one. 3 times a minus 2 minus 6. Positive 3 times a negative 2 is negative 6. And then positive 3 times a negative 6 is a negative 18. How about one where we now introduce a variable? How about 3 times x minus 6? So this might throw you a curve a little bit, but don't worry, even if you don't understand it right away. If you practice, you'll begin to see what's going on. So in this case, when we multiply number times a variable, 3 times x, we simply get 3x. And when you see this term like this, 3x, it really is saying multiply 3 times x, but we kind of write it in this shorthand notation like this. And then let's finish up. Positive 3 times a negative 6 is a negative 18. Okay, let's use a little more difficult ones. 2x times 1 plus 3. And once you see the pattern on how this is working, it's not really difficult. So positive 2x multiplied by 1. And we know that anything times 1 is just the same number itself, so that's 2x. And then positive 2x times a positive 3 is a positive 6x. So you see how that works? So if you have a coefficient with your variable, 2 is a coefficient in this case, and you're multiplying it by just a regular number, the two regular numbers, or the two real numbers, multiply together, and then you just keep the same variable. So in this case, 6x. And how about if we had 3 terms, and we'll put an x outside, and we'll go 1 plus 3 minus 2. And there's no different. You could have like 100 terms inside the parentheses, but you just have to remember you're going to multiply each one times the term that's on the outside. So let's start with positive x times a positive 1 is just positive x. The 1 is understood to be in front of the x, but we don't write it. Positive x times a positive 3 is positive 3x. Positive x times a negative 2 is a negative 2x. And then, how about one last one? Minus x times the quantity 1 plus 3x minus 2. It's a little bit of a curveball here too. So minus x times a positive 1 is going to be a minus x. Minus x times a positive 3x is going to be a minus 3x squared. Minus x times a minus 2 is going to be a positive 2x. So you can see that as you move along with algebra and any of your math learning, it depends on stuff that you've been shown before. So in this case, you've got several things going on. You've got the multiplication of positive and negative numbers. You've got the exponents, multiplying a variable times a variable to get this x squared term. And now you've got this distributive property that you have to remember. But it's not really that hard. As long as you keep an interest in math and you have a desire to learn it, don't be afraid if it takes you a year to get some of these concepts. If you keep at it, you'll understand it.